Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lords of the Night. With me, as always, is the Lord of Pain, Ranting Monkey.
Hello.
And the Lord of Pennies, Satsu 2 cents.
What up, dope?
And the Lord of Precious, Squeedus.
Say what up, dope?
Aww. And I'm your host, Scribe, the Lord of Punishment. Hello, everyone. Hello, chat. Hope you've had a good week and a good weekend ahead of you. It has been a very eventful week for me, as you might have heard the last couple of days, but it's over for now, kind of, sort of. How are you guys doing? How are you, monkey?
Not too bad. Woke up, spent time with the grandbaby, and now I'm here with you guys. So,
babies everywhere. Oh, tell us how it is, Squeedus.
She's telling you how her day went.
Oh, poor Squeedus. Oh, and how are you, Satsu?
Pretty good. I took
got
a nap.
that bundle of Precious on him. How could he be anything but good? Look at her.
Oh,
Yeah, I took a nap earlier today, like a couple hours before the stream, and Squishy was like, "You look tired," so I just let you sleep until like 8:30. I'm like, "Darn you!" So I got much more sleep than I intended on, but I'm still kind of tired because now I'm waking up from that sleep. So.
Yeah, I spent most of my day doing very, very brain-draining and tedious work at work, as I've described before. But I slept okay last night, which was kind of nice. Oh, and there's a cameo by Squishy. Oh my gosh! I know what Squeedus is talking about. She's excited. She's excited that Beto dropped out of the race.
She was like, "But he was born for this."
I know, right? Vanity Fair said so.
She was saying, Monkey was right. Me and Squeedus, we connected. We're on the same brain level.
Let's see. Before the stream, thank you, tall person. Happy National Calzone Day, everybody. What are your favorite calzone fillings?
This is going to piss some people off, but ham and pineapple. It's great.
I can't remember when I've ever had a calzone, so I couldn't tell you.
I just like the standard shit. Nothing
it's just
crazy.
A folded pizza.
Pepperoni sausage.
I think, actually, no, I take it back. I think I had one from like Pizza Hut one time, and it just made me ill because it was just so much stuff. But
yes,
yep, I know. Thank you, Master Arrow. First Lords of the Night stream I've caught. Hi, that sounds like you've got a disease or something.
And just like herpes, we keep coming back.
That's right. Every night, at least 6 nights a week. But with that, Monkey Dick, Jim Jones, movies, video games, hit that like button if you have not already, and many of you haven't, because why would you? I don't know. Maybe you like it. Maybe you want to tell us you like the show. Maybe. And share our stuff. Please, please, please. Retweet it. Post it on Facebook. Tell your friends. Tell your enemies. Because the content creators on YouTube that aren't backed by corporate interests certainly get no help these days from YouTube itself. You guys are the best algorithm we could ask for, so thank you so much. Let's see, are you guys game streaming tonight by any chance?
That is the plan. We'll be possibly finishing up Code Vein tonight. I don't know. We'll see.
All right. So remember that, guys, after the show, go check out 2 Cents Plus for Monkey and Satsu to play your Code Vein. You probably think this game is about you. Anyway. Well, yeah, I kind of spoiled the top story, but hey, let's take a look at the news, as maybe Keemstar would sort of kind of say it. Let's take a look at Beto O'Rourke ends 2020 presidential bid.
Oh
my God!
I'm shocked.
Shame.
Were any of it? Well, I mean, this would have to be about the time that they start the big names, or like the top tier names, start falling off if they can't make it. And so Beto was just. I mean, we've had other people drop out previous to this, but Beto was the first sort of, I guess, top tier candidate to drop out.
I wouldn't call. I see what you're going for there. Not top tier, but name recognition wise.
Yeah.
Newsworthy.
Newsworthy. There you go. Former Texas Congressman Beto O'Rourke announced Friday that he is ending his 2020 presidential campaign hours ahead of a marquee dinner in Iowa. O'Rourke told supporters in an email, that's how you want to break up with somebody, in an email, that he will not run for office next year. That means he will also not become a Senate candidate in Texas, despite pleas from some Democrats for him to take on Republican Senator John Cornyn and probably lose that one too. Quote, though it is difficult to accept, it is clear to me now that this campaign does not have the means to move forward successfully, O'Rourke said in a statement.
It's because of the candidate. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
After all of that fundraising, after all of that money, you don't have the means to move forward? Well, successfully, I'll grant you. But anyway, quote, my service to the country, I see that phrase, I think military service reflexively.
Oh.
Maybe that's just me. My service to the country will not be as a candidate or as the nominee. Acknowledging this now is in the best interest of those in the campaign. It is in the best interest of this party as we seek to unify around a nominee, and it is in the best interests of the country, unquote. Yeah, O'Rourke has fallen on his sword for the rest of us, everyone. O'Rourke led an all-staff call Friday afternoon, informing aides of his decision to drop out, a choice that came as a surprise to many of his staff in early voting states. O'Rourke's poor fundraising played a key role in his decision to exit the presidential race, aides familiar with his decision to drop out said. God.
That's a long way to say that.
That's a long way to say people who aren't willing to give us their names. His top advisors had concluded that his current fundraising pace meant he'd have to slash spending, God forbid, a presidential candidate mind their pennies, likely meaning major staff cuts in order to pay for the advertising he'd need to get the small boost he needed to qualify for the debate stage in November. O'Rourke raised just $4.5 million in 2019's third quarter and ended it with just $3 million cash on hand. Just $3 million on hand.
Well, in a presidential race these days, that is not enough. Not close.
Thank you, Master Arrow. Hell yes, I'm going to drop out of the race. Yeah, let's see. Let's watch Beto try to come take those guns now. O'Rourke's recent fundraising emails have hinted at this possibility. Wait, you sent out emails asking people for money, hinting that you're going to drop out? One Cent Wednesday said raising money was critical to, quote, making sure we don't have to slash funds from our organizing teams or early state ads. These programs are critical to building our momentum on the ground. Sounds like emotional blackmail a little bit.
It is.
O'Rourke's campaign changed gears drastically in August following the mass shooting that left 22 dead at a Walmart in his hometown of El Paso. Yeah, it's almost like campaigning on top of the bodies of dead people don't quite get you nowhere. O'Rourke paused his campaign for nearly 2 weeks, probably a mistake, and then returned as a strident advocate for gun control measures, including mandatory buybacks of assault-style rifles. He made waves in a debate by saying, hell yes, he would take away Americans' AK-47s and AR-15s. His position led to criticism from Democrats in Washington, including Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, but it also injected energy and cocaine into O'Rourke's flagging campaign. Oh, whoops, I misread that, sorry. Still, that momentum was enough to carry O'Rourke in a crowded Democratic field, with voters already narrowing their lists of candidates to consider. Who's next? On the butcher's bill, who's next to drop out?
Yeah, you have quite a few. You have Amy Klobuchar, Tulsi, Julian Castro. All three of those have very, very little money. I think Amy has the most with like using the same third quarter things. Yes, guys, I'm this much of a nerd. Amy, I think, had 3.4 million on hand with very bad fundraising. Tulsi had 3 million on hand, and Julian Castro had 0.7 million on hand.
Let's see. We got Pete, Yang, and Harris are the Cory Booker.
Booker had 4.3. Yang had 6.6. Who was the other one?
Yeah, Yang's got too much money to drop out right now.
And plus, I mean, he can finance his own. He doesn't have to worry about fundraising.
Yeah. Klobuchar, Castro, or Klobuchar? Those are that'd be my guess. The next one to drop out.
A couple of things. I might be getting into my fucketry here a bit. So,
Oh no.
speaking of the service thing,
Yes.
I saw some today that just annoyed the fuck out of me.
What's that?
From Joe Lockhart, old Clinton standby. You guys remember Joe?
Yeah.
He tweeted out today, if you're a Dem tonight and you think it's cool to take a shot at Beto, think again. You have no idea how much these candidates pour themselves into these campaigns and how much they contribute to our party. The right thing to do is say, thank you for your service.
Oh.
How dare you, sir?
Wow.
And I'm not saying that in a facetious. How dare that is something we reserve for, people who have service. You were talking about a man who ran for president and lost. That is not a service to us in any fucking way.
Well, he
And
didn't
he
lose.
wasted a whole bunch of money.
He didn't even lose. He didn't even get to the point. He just dropped out.
You didn't do anything for me. And there's also this other notion out there that he was just too liberal. That has been. I actually saw this floated before he dropped out a couple of days ago that Beto's just too liberal. He's just too liberal, dude. No. One, Beto started getting attention when he decided to go liberal. When he decided of course, President Trump's a racist. That's where he first started getting his notice, and then coming after the guns. That's when they started paying attention to him. Before that, the reason he has no backing is because he does think in that article that, we need this money to run ads. It's crucial to get grassroots support. That's not how you get grassroots support. You do that with a campaign on the ground, knocking on doors.
Mm-hmm.
That's how look, that takes money too. Don't get me wrong, but it's not from the ads, you fucking shitbag.
Wait a second. Pincala Driving 8 Man, you guys are live on my Twitch. Wait, are you pirating our broadcast? What?
Hi guys.
You made it. Hey, Twitch world. We can multi-stream out of this thing now, can't we?
Yeah, but not to Twitch.
Oh, not to Twitch.
No, the places they have it, like Facebook is the only other one I've heard about. Maybe I don't remember if they have Twitter or not, but I know Facebook is one of them.
Oh, if I can multi-stream to Twitter, I should do that.
Just Pincalo, be careful because some of the stuff we say on here can get you in trouble on Twitch.
Yeah,
most of the stuff we say on here can get you in trouble.
Should throw that out there.
Let's see.
I don't know about Scribbles because this is your broadcast, but if you did that with mine, I had no problem. But I don't want you to get in trouble because of us.
Well, yeah, I definitely don't want that to happen. I can't control these two, so they might say something that's going to screw you up. I, however, am the picture of civility and good manners.
Oh, I will definitely get you in trouble.
Speaking of civility and good manners, not that that's really a good segue, actually, but it's the best one I got for the moment. Let's talk about our favorite friend at CNN, Chris Cillizza.
Yeah.
And Chris wants us to know that Nancy Pelosi just identified the biggest risk for Democrats on impeachment. What do you think it is, guys? I haven't read this yet. What do you think the biggest risk is for Democrats?
Going forward with a crime that people don't understand and don't care about?
I don't know.
I think the biggest risk is this turns out to be a functionary nothing burger. The House, they just had a witness yesterday, and I don't have the testimony in front of me, but the takeaway was, yes, he heard the president on the line basically give a quid pro quo. No, nothing he heard is actually illegal. Yeah.
Well, I think it's sending the wrong message to because we're in the fringes. You know what I mean? We're always on the political extremes, dealing with all these people or whatever. So we see what they think all the time. But all the standard, people who really don't care about this shit, or who just go to the place and vote on issues and stuff like that alone and don't pay attention to all this shit. If the impeachment fails, they're going to interpret that as, okay, well, he clearly didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah. He'll be exonerated, he'll say, etc.
Right. And I think that might be their biggest fear, is if it goes through and it fails, the masses are going to be like, okay, well, he didn't do anything wrong.
I think the biggest risk is this is the top of the mountain as far as what you can do against a president, because if you fail at this, and conceivably and likely, as far as like removing him from office, probably that'll fail. I mean, I'm not making any like assurances because I don't know. Stranger things have happened. But you can't go much higher in the censure territory of a president than this. So if this doesn't work and he wins the next election, they got nowhere to go.
Yeah.
They can whine and complain and they can cite and everything else, but short of him doing something that is just beyond question horrible in the next 4 years, if he wins the next election, they got nothing. They got no ammunition left after this.
I said this before they did it. If they took this shot and missed, it's a golden ticket for him.
Yep. Let's see what Chris has to say. In a Friday interview with Bloomberg, Speaker Nancy Pelosi perfectly diagnosed the biggest danger for Democrats posed by the ongoing impeachment inquiry. Quote, "There is, I should say, a mountain of concerns to be brought up," Pelosi said. But she went on to add that there is a danger of overwhelming the public with charges and details. Quote, "When does the law of diminished returns set in?" Pelosi of California asked. When? About 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Wait, the problem is that the public might learn too much.
Well, there's that too. It might be overwhelmed with charges and details. But as far as diminished returns, what did you guys think you got out of the Russia collusion thing?
They missed that train a long fucking time ago.
That second part of Pelosi's quote, oh, thank you, Terry Diamantis. If the impeachment doesn't work, they'll just pull a Hillary and act like they won anyway. Well, they'll have to. The only way to save face is to pretend that you never lost it. Let's see. That second part of Pelosi's quote is absolutely key when it comes to understanding how much political peril lurks in the ongoing impeachment investigation for Democrats. Put simply, because we're all dumb, by the way, that risk is this: the longer the inquiry goes on and the more strands, people in charges are brought into the conversation, the harder it is for people to follow and understand. And the less people understand about the process and why Democrats believe it is necessary, the better for President Donald Trump. Well, he's not wrong on that point, because it can get boring without a very clear line of accusation, you know? So he's not wrong on that, because people's attention spans these days only go so far. And this is why, I've said it before, and I'll probably continue to say it, I don't understand why they didn't focus on obstruction. It's very simple. The evidence for it having happened is very well said, very well testified to, very well documented. And it's enough. It's enough to impeach him. The
It's
level
enough for an inquiry.
Well, it's enough for an inquiry. It's enough for impeachment. I mean, the threshold for what qualifies as an impeachable offense is so vague, and obstruction of justice is the kind of verbiage that anybody who's watched Law and Order will understand. All right, so they should have gone on that, and I don't understand why they didn't. Now they've gone into all this. Well, he pressured a country to do a thing with political power, but don't we do that all the time? And did he do anything illegal? Technically, no. Where obstruction of justice is very clear-cut and understandable. Let's see. Consider this. For months and months, polling showed that a majority of the public opposed impeaching Trump, even while, in those very same polls, Trump's job approval rating hovered at or near 40%. People didn't think Trump was doing a good job and didn't want him removed from office. Yeah, because those two things aren't mutual. That polling dynamic changed in the wake of the revelation of the whistleblower complaint regarding the July 25th phone call between Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Suddenly, a majority of the country favored Trump's impeachment and even removal. While Democratic elected leaders were heartened by that change, why would you be heartened by having to remove a president from office, even if it's a president you disagree with? Why is that a heartening thing? It should also serve as a warning sign as to the fickleness of the public on the issue. Oh, the public being fickle? What? In a CNN poll conducted late last month, where you polled 20 people or something, 50% said Trump should be impeached and removed from office, while 43% said he should not. While that represents a real change from a few months ago, it's not as though impeachment is favored by a wide swath of the public. Lose even a little momentum in the eyes of the public, and you'll soon see data that shows more people prefer keeping Trump in office.
Especially if you don't sway the poll by polling more Democrats than anyone else. Hey, Chris? I saw your poll, you dirty shit. I'm sorry.
Scrolling down a bit. What these hearings can't be, Pelosi knows, is a grab bag of grievance. Russia, Ukraine, nepotism, Julie. It already is.
Yeah,
though.
that's all it's been.
I mean, everything that's been leading up to the not yet totally official impeachment inquiry, because we haven't even gotten to that point. They just voted to agree on the rules for the impeachment inquiry that they totally haven't already been running behind closed doors. But everything we've heard about it so far has been Russia, Ukraine, nepotism, and Giuliani. Anyway.
Scribe, I have a question for you, though, because
Sure.
There's something I've been wanting to confirm for a little bit, especially considering the reaction to our audience whenever you say this particular thing. Now, when you talk about impeachment and them pursuing the obstruction of justice, is that on the basis that you truly believe that he obstructed justice, or are you saying that was just their best bet? Because I think the chat seems to believe that you 100% believe he obstructed justice, and that was worthy of impeachment.
Okay, so first off, you have to remember that, again, the threshold for what counts as an impeachable offense is completely undefined. It can be, in the original discussions of it back in the olden days of the founders, something as simple as firing a worthy man from a job could be an impeachable offense.
Right.
So impeachable offense does not need to reach a legal threshold of, the same jurisprudence as we would use for somebody who's actually accused of a crime in a court of law.
Right.
That being said, between the memos, the testimony, etc., from people during the course of the Mueller investigation who laid out instances where Trump tried to manipulate people or tried to go through his proxies to manipulate witness testimony and so on, a case could be made. A more solid case could be made for obstruction, I think, than can be made for something actually clearly untoward took place with the call to Ukraine. That's not to say that I think the way Trump handled that call was appropriate in any way, shape, or form. Does it rise to the level of illegality? No. Does it need to for impeachment? No. Does it need to for the clarity of the electorate and for the representatives to make a case to the people? Yeah, kinda, in my mind. It has to be something where people can understand very clearly that a crime was committed of some kind. And obstruction of justice, I think, is the best and strongest case they have. Now, do I believe Donald Trump committed obstruction of justice? Well, if it quacks like a duck and it walks like a duck. He tried to get people to do things on his behalf to change witness testimony. Did he succeed in doing so? No. And that's where the sort of the gray line is. Did anybody actually change their testimony on behalf of anything he did? If they didn't, did he obstruct? Was he attempting to obstruct justice? Was he conspiring to? Again, vague area, but it is the strongest case they would have, in my opinion, if they were going to try to make a case for impeachment. The fact that they're not, and it was so clear to me as I listened to the Mueller testimony that that is a very strong case they could have had, it's just bewildering to me. I mean, it would, like I say, if anybody's watched Law and Order before, you know the phrase obstruction of justice. It's familiar. It's something that can be articulated to people relatively simply, and there's not a lot of moving parts to it. Whereas with all this other stuff, Ukraine and Giuliani and phone calls and quid pro quo and this, that, yeah, it confuses the issue.
I actually agree with Scribe that it's their best chance. I don't think it was a good chance because I don't think you convince the American people of obstruction when you don't have the underlying crime. You can still have obstruction without the underlying crime, which is something people forget.
Yes.
But you have a hard time convincing people, okay, that's obstruction that they need to be punished for, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. When it comes to this, all they have to do is once they start getting people up there and going, have other presidents ever made these kind of calls? Yeah. All right.
Yep. That's it.
You're done. You're fucking done.
Yeah, I'm not saying that obstruction of justice would have been a success, but again, I'm looking at this as far as like the rules of impeachment and the threshold of it, and as well as like, and Crystal is right, and Nancy Pelosi is right too. If you bog the issue down in too many different notions or threads, you don't have a clear line of violation or something. people are going to get bored, or it's not going to make any sense, or it's not going to seem as bad because you're diluting the whole issue. Whereas with obstruction of justice, you had a clear line. Mm-hmm. They're not doing it, or they're not at least focusing on it much at all. I don't think I've heard about it since then. So it's kind of a moot point. But I'm just, like I said, I'm just surprised that of all the things they could have started the impeachment process over, it was this and not that. When they had, I mean, that was the best result. And I use the term loosely. That was the best result they had out of all of the Mueller investigations of what they could have taken away from that showed that there was something inappropriate going on. So anyway, I know people in the chat disagree with me on this. It's like, sorry.
They're telling us there's some skipping going on. Guys, that is YouTube. We have no control over that.
Yeah, I'm not using OBS this time, so.
Okay, oh my God, hold up.
Okay.
Sorry, something really loud just started playing in my ear on the computer.
Oh, I hate that shit.
It just threw me off. Well, the reason I was asking is because I know I understand my position on it or whatever, because despite the fact that I think it's a wild goose chase for them to try to go down that road, and I don't think it would be successful if they did obstruction of justice, because I don't believe fully that obstruction of justice was the thing that took place, at least in its full definition. Sure. But I also do agree that it would have been their best chance if they were going to go for something. If they were going to go for something out of all the bullshit that they're pulling out of their ass right now, that would have been the thing to go for. But I don't think they would have succeeded at all, because I don't believe that that's what took place. Yeah,
and let me clarify it to the chat. As weird as it sounds, I am very apathetic on the whole impeachment issue. I wasn't convinced that anything Trump did, even in the obstruction of justice territory, was enough to impeach. I don't think what he did was an impeachable offense. Okay. An impeachable offense to me has to be something like pure and absolute, no bones about it, criminal activity.
Yeah.
The evidence of obstruction, it's circumstantial and it is interpretive. Mm-hmm. Like I say, and I'll make this clear. When I say that was their strongest case, I use the term relatively. In relative terms, obstruction was their strongest case because they had enough testimony and they had enough research and they had enough investigation from Mueller to back it up. I mean, they had more documentation on that than anything else. And it was already an investigation that was complete. Whereas the Ukraine thing, they're starting from scratch practically and conducting a second Mueller investigation, but this time on the Ukraine issue, while they're also initiating impeachment. It's bass backwards to me. So like I say, I don't care if Donald Trump gets impeached or not. I mean, short of him actually getting removed from office, if he just gets impeached, it'll be a nothing burger like what happened to Clinton, and we'll move on with our lives. And at this late date that they're doing it, if they try and fail, they're probably reelecting Trump by proxy. So, I mean, I'm more interested in the drama and the mechanics of it, the politics of it, but I don't have a horse in the race, if that makes any sense.
Okay. Not just this is something you have to understand. Not just reelecting Donald Trump, but possibly losing the House in the process.
Yeah.
Because presidents, their party tends to pick up seats in the presidential election years. And they don't have that big of a, what is their lead right now? 40 some seats? Mm-hmm. That can be overturned pretty quickly. So yeah, this was a dumbass move by them. Fucking move.
David, and I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. If I'm not, I apologize. David DeRosier in the chat says, but Scribe Light, impeachment is purely political process, not a legal one. Yeah, no, I know it's not a legal one. There's no legal threshold for what counts as a impeachable offense. I understand that. And I'm looking at it that way. However, you say it's a completely political process, but when it comes to talking to the American public and the electorate about going through impeachment proceedings and hearings and having a trial in the Senate, I'm afraid that there's just an expectation that you'll have relayed to you some kind of legal framework for what you're doing, even if it is not a legal test that we're talking about. And that's where that's why the whole high crimes and misdemeanors thing is both a benefit and a detriment to the whole thing. And it just, without defining what actually is a crime, you can make up anything. And every time you do, you set a new precedent. And anyway, I could go on. We've gone on.
Well, yeah, I just wanted to clarify because, like I said, we've been talking about this for several days, and I see the reactions in the chat, and I couldn't really pinpoint or lock down exactly where you were coming from when you were saying that. So I just wanted to clarify.
We had the long discussion on this, but it's been months now, maybe more than a month.
Yeah.
And I think Scribe, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think you think there's a better case for obstruction than I do. I still think it was, like you said, relatively their best chance. And if they were going to do this, that's what they should have gone on.
Okay, better case, a more understandable case. Let me put it that way: a more clear case that you could describe to someone else. Because the whole Ukrainian thing, they've taken it in so many different directions already. They have just spitballed this thing all over the place. And yeah, we haven't gotten to the public hearings yet, and maybe they'll refine their narrative on the whole thing because it has to be a narrative. It's not. We're not talking about a court case here, so they have to be able to tell us a story that makes sense, and they have to draw a line from point A to point B to point C. And the way they're doing it right now, I don't think they get there. Now, with obstruction, you can go through all the testimony that's already been put out there, and you can say, on this date, Donald Trump had this conversation with this person where he said, yada, yada, yada. And then this person did this thing. And then this witness was contacted by the White House to say this. You could show that. And that's already documented. It's already been out there in the public forever. You wouldn't have to do a whole lot of heavy lifting. With this, they're winging it as they go. So, like I say, it's not a good case for impeachment. I just think it's the better case that they've already had delivered to them. Anyway, I mean, we could go on. But.
Yeah, I mean, and the last thing I'm gonna say is the Ukraine thing. There's also the issue of them needing to tread carefully because it is inevitable that other presidents, especially if we get a Democratic president next, they're going to do the exact same thing. And people are going to be looking at that and like, wait, isn't this wrong? Like, isn't this an issue? And they're not going to be able to relate properly, like, whether it is or not, because it obviously isn't under most circumstances. So I don't know.
There's one more story I want to get to before we go on to MSS News, because I am the long-winded. I apologize. But something else happened or came out today. And that's our friend Elizabeth Warren.
Oh.
She unveiled her plan to pay for Medicare for all.
Oh, did she?
Yes, she did.
Oh, shit.
And this is going to cut into my own fucking tree, but oh well. It's my show. Here's how Warren finds $20.5 trillion to pay for Medicare for all. Now, the big question that she's always been asked, won't you have to raise taxes on the middle class to do this?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay. Senator Elizabeth Warren says paying for Medicare for all would require $20.5 trillion in new federal spending over a decade. That spending includes higher taxes on the wealthy, but no new taxes on the middle class. The Democratic presidential candidate released her plan to pay for Medicare for all on Friday after being dogged for months by questions of how she would finance such a sweeping overhaul of the healthcare system. That pressure has been intensified by the fact that Warren has made detailed proposals a central part of her brand as a candidate, except that she's never given details when pressed until now, I guess. Medicare for All is a single-payer healthcare proposal introduced by Senator Bernie Sanders and co-sponsored by multiple candidates in the presidential race, including Warren. It would virtually eliminate private insurance, including employer-sponsored coverage. It also represents a political risk, as multiple polls show that introducing a public option for health insurance coverage is more popular than a Medicare for All plan that almost entirely does away with private insurance. Here's a look at what Warren has laid out to provide single-payer health care, including proposals to cut costs where new revenue would come from and where funds would not be taken from, and what comes next. Okay. How Warren wants to reduce spending. Warren bases her plan off of a recent analysis from the Urban Institute, which estimated that under the current law, Americans would spend $52 trillion over the next decade on healthcare. That includes many types of spending from employers, individuals, and all levels of government. Thank you, Terry D. Montes. Warren, good God, y'all. What is she good for? Absolutely nothing. Say it again. Yeah. Right.
That commitment, though.
In that analysis, the Urban Institute calculated that under a single payer plan that looks a lot like Medicare for All, costs would total $59 trillion over a decade, which would require $34 trillion in new federal spending. Where does she get to the part where she's going to say, okay, where money's coming from? Okay, this story is a lot different than the one I read earlier today, which had it very whittled down. So let me whittle it down. The two places the money's going to come from, that was articulated in the plan when I first read it, at least. The wealth tax on the wealthy will go from 3% to 6%. Okay. And she will increase taxes on employers in some fashion, which is supposed to make up for what they won't be paying for health coverage after that's eliminated. So you're taking what they're already paying for health coverage to pay for health coverage. But raising a tax as an alternate to the... Anyway, that's where the money's supposed to come from. All right. Now, what is Elizabeth Warren's plan to convince Congress to approve these tax measures?
Say that we really need it.
Nothing has been articulated. This was my fuckatry for the night. I said, here's her plan to raise the taxes, and I list them off in little bullet points. Here's her plan to convince Congress to raise the taxes, and the bullet point is empty. Because to this, her, Yang, Bernie, all of them, all of their crazy tax schemes, which may or may not work if they were actually implemented. I don't know. I'm not an economist. But the one piece of the equation that none of them have said that they have a plan for, or have even offered even a notion, as far as I know, aside from just more pipe dream bullshit, is how they're actually going to get Congress to approve any of it. Because, again, the executive does not approve. I mean, what they approve taxes by signing them, but they don't create taxes. They don't initiate taxes. That's up to the Congress. And yet all of them are acting as though this is my plan, and as soon as I get voted, the plan will go into place, without even talking about all the other wheels that have to turn first because you're not a dictator. Unless you're Kamala Harris, apparently.
Yeah, Kamala Harris is absolutely a
dictator. So there's her plan, such as it is, but a plan that has one important component missing from it. And I'm dying to have somebody lay out and say, okay, well, if I had to go to Congress, this is what I'd come to the table with. This is what I would offer. Or something. Or like, say, if I came to the Congress and we had a Republican House and a Democratic Senate, or vice versa, or all of one or all of the other, you have to have contingencies. Like, what would you do? And if you don't show me that you at least have thought of that, I don't believe that your tax thing is ever going to come to fruition in the first place. So all of your promises are nothing. Absolutely nothing.
So do you think they all just plan to just do an executive order? Like, they all think that they'll just do that instead? No. Okay, well, I don't know. Monkey, you might have a better notion on this. Even an executive order, I think, would get shot down immediately if the president tried to pass a new tax.
They couldn't. No, that would never work.
Yeah, I mean, there have been end runs done around Congress by presidents before using executive orders. But in that instance, when controlling the purse strings like that specifically, not going to happen.
Well,
yeah, you're talking about raising $5 trillion a year, $2 trillion a year, I think is what this works out to, something like that. Yeah, that's not something the president can do with the stroke of a pen. No. Well,
that's what I'm saying. Like, do you think that they think it is?
No.
I mean, for all the things you could say about Warren or Bernie or Yang or anything, they're not so dumb or so ignorant as to not understand how the separation of powers works. I don't believe that at all. I do believe that they are selling everybody an empty bag. And again, even if they, let me be clear. If somebody came out with a plan and said, okay, here's what I'm going to approach Congress with, okay, that does not guarantee that they're actually going to get passed anyway. But I would have a heck of a lot more interest in and respect for a candidate who actually acknowledged that it's not a matter of just snapping their fingers and they get new taxes, but saying that here's what I'm going to go to Washington with. Here's my strategy, or at least here's a hint, at least a hint. If you got to hold some cards to the vest or something, fine, but at least give us a hint that you're thinking about that part of the process. Because The president is not an island. The president has to work with Congress to get things done and vice versa. If you don't acknowledge that, I don't believe you to be a good candidate for president. That's just me.
Okay.
Anyway, all that hot air out of the way. Let's get on to some different hot air from Nevermind.
Just real quick before you did that, I sent you a story over on our group chat.
Mm-hmm.
Kamala Harris, breaking news, you guys.
What? Oh my gosh.
Kamala Harris has shut down her operations in New Hampshire.
What? Okay, guys, sorry. Breaking news. We got to talk about this.
Oh,
Right. We'll bleed over into a usual YouTube time then for MSS News, because this is
This is basically her giving up. But
you want to read it, Monkey, or should I?
Oh, go ahead. I don't have it pulled up anymore.
Okay. Wow. And again, here I thought it was going to be Julian, and well, she hasn't dropped out yet. But if there was ever a canary in the coal mine, Kamala Harris closes campaign offices and fires staff in New Hampshire. Senator Kamala Harris is closing 3 of her 4 presidential campaign offices in New Hampshire and has fired all of her field organizers in the state as she homes in on her struggling campaign in Iowa, an aide tells CNN. The California Democrat is closing her offices in Nashua, Portsmouth, and Keene. Her Manchester headquarters will remain open, but the staff will be scaled back significantly, with only volunteers left to knock on doors and pass out literature. Quote, Senator Harris and this team set out with one goal: to win the nomination and defeat Donald Trump in 2020. To do so, the campaign has made a strategic decision to realign resources. Well, this is so corporate speak. I love it. To go all in on Iowa. So you're putting all your eggs in one basket, are you? That's always a wise move. Resulting in office closures and staff realignments and reductions in New Hampshire, said Nate Evans, Harris's New Hampshire spokesman. For now. The almost abandonment of the first-in-the-nation primary state operations follows a major campaign shakeup announced earlier this week to lay off staff and significantly cut costs for Harris's campaign, the latest sign she is struggling to gain traction in the 2020 race. Well, obviously, it's because she's a woman and because she's not white.
A black woman, don't forget that, yeah.
No, well, yeah, we know it. According to a memo that campaign manager Juan Rodriguez sent to his supporters and campaign staff, Harris will lay off staffers in her Baltimore headquarters, deploy staff from New Hampshire, Nevada, and California to Iowa, and cut costs. The moves further commit her to her all-in on Iowa strategy. Well, this basically means if she polls anything less than third place in Iowa, she's gone.
If she polls less than second, she's gone. Because after
she
Iowa
makes it to the Iowa caucuses. I mean, I don't even know if she's going to make it to that.
she makes it no matter what unless she wins Iowa, seriously, because New Hampshire is next and it comes really close and you lose all of that press coverage. And it's not like you can suddenly set up in New Hampshire really fast after Iowa to get your campaign going.
Yeah.
This is, I'm out of money. I'm going to try to make one shot to show that I'm relevant, and then it's over.
Yeah. Thank you, Three-Sided Coin. How are things in Keene? Peachy.
Yeah,
Wow.
So this is not her dropping out, but this is her dropping out.
Yeah. This is the last gasps, as it were.
That pretty much leaves the only female candidate left that anybody cares about, and that's fucking Warren, right?
Mm-hmm.
Warren,
yeah, because Warren is better Bernie, don't you know?
She's vaginal Bernie.
Vaginal Bernie.
All right. Well, guys, short of any other breaking news stories happening, we're going to move on to MSS News. So if you guys have news stories you would like us to attempt to read on the air, please send them to us via Twitter using the hashtag MSS News. Can't promise we'll get to them all, but that's because I'm long-winded. I admit it. I know when not to say when too much. Anyway. I know. This one comes from Frosted Glass. Let's see. I'm going to attempt to put these all into the tabby tabs here so everybody can see them as I go. It does require a couple of extra button pushes, unfortunately, but that's just the nature of the beast. Okay, Guardian, go away. Call out culture, how to get it right and wrong. Call out culture?
Yeah.
Oh, actually, before we get into that one, did you guys see Obama's thing on call out?
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's right here.
Oh, I didn't know it was the same thing.
It's a defining feature of our online conversations. But as Obama noted, the point of highlighting someone else's mistakes is not just to feel good about yourself.
Yeah, that's what it is. That is exactly what it is, dude. All of this shit is
Yeah.
self-serving.
Okay. Even if you're not that active on social media, you've probably experienced it. The sudden wave of dread that overwhelms you when you realize you've said something you shouldn't have and someone has noticed. You've been called out. Your mistake suddenly feels grave and irreparable. You may even worry that this one episode could affect your whole life. A version of call-out culture has been functioning for centuries as a tool for the marginalized and their allies to reveal injustice and the need for reform. That's totally what it's used for now. The practice of directly addressing inequality underpins countless social justice movements, from civil rights to Standing Rock. The contemporary idea of a call-out, however, generally refers to interpersonal confrontations occurring between individuals on social media. In theory, call-outs should be very simple. Someone does something wrong, people tell them, and they avoid doing it again in the future. Yet you only need to spend a short amount of time on the internet to know that call-out culture is in fact extremely divisive. No
shit.
Yeah, tell me about the taco truck. Former President Obama pointed out this week that at the Obama Foundation Summit in Chicago, that call-outs can give the illusion that you're affecting change, even if that is not true. Quote, if I tweet or hashtag about how you didn't do something right or use the wrong word or verb, then I can sit back and feel pretty good about myself because, man, you see how woke I was? I called you out. That's not activism, Obama said. I agree with him on that one.
Oh my God. I've been saying these exact words for I don't know how long. And like I told you, it's simply for the satisfaction for themselves. They don't need to actually make change. It's just the illusion of making change. That little dopamine high they get from calling somebody out. That's all they need. Nothing has to actually change or get better. They just need to feel like it did.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even give it the dignity of calling it call-out culture. It's just gotcha drama. That's all it is. Gotcha drama. Whatever. I mean, if you point out somebody's hypocrisy, if you can go back to a quote they've had, or especially with politicians or people in actual control of something, or whatever, like what happened with Aaron Sorkin the other day when Zuckerberg quoted his own speech from a movie he did, and how it completely contradicts his sort of language policing now and everything else. That's legit in my mind. That's like, okay, wait a second. You're completely going back against your own values purportedly in something that you wrote previously. That's fine. That's fair. But like, oh, you used the wrong word. How dare you do that? Like, oh my God. Now, Zuckerberg's not going to change the world by doing that, certainly. But then Sorkin was effectively attacking Zuckerberg personally. So it was a personal fight. It wasn't like, the end of the world or anything.
Right.
But yeah, no, what Obama says is absolutely true. Slacktivism, etc. You're not affecting change. You're just, it's a spectator sport. You're just participating in the mob kind of stuff. Thank you, Piccolo Driving 8 Man. This article is proof call out culture is real. Real. All right, moving on. Let's see. We talked about Beto, so thank you, Peter Silak Hades 313. That is an ad. Okay, this one comes from Roasted Opinions, who, if I'm not mistaken, has a new roommate in Colleen Bernier, if I remember reading that correctly. Let's see. So let me get this set up again with every little... Okay. Florida man accused of having sex with Frozen toy at Target.
Oh, God.
Holy caramba. Okay, Pinellas Park, Florida. Police arrested a Florida man on October 22nd after they say he did some questionable things to some toys at Target, according to the Pinellas Park Police Department. According to the affidavit, 20-year-old Cody Christopher Meter approached a Frozen toy display at a Target in Pinellas Park, Florida. Meter grabbed an Olaf stuffed toy. Isn't that the snowman?
Yeah.
Yep.
An Olaf stuffed toy and proceeded to perform sexual acts on it on the floor. Olaf is a sentient snowman who likes warm hugs and is a popular character in Disney's smash hit Frozen. The sequel to the hit movie, we're going to do an ad for it right here. Meter also performed sexual acts on a large unicorn stuffed animal.
Oh, God.
In the affidavit, police wrote the toys could not be resold. No. And Target was forced to let it go following the incident. Oh, good one. Good one. Good one.
Oh, well played.
The items were promptly destroyed due to the circumstances. Police charged Meter with criminal mischief. All right. Well, there you go.
Do you want to build an orgasm? Oh, my God. Well played.
Do you want to build a lawsuit? Let's see. This one comes from the original Shroom. And again, let me pull up the link. Come on. Get the thing and do the thing over here and do that and do that. Oh, boy. Such a procedure I have to go through to make sure everybody sees what I am seeing. Okay. Andrew Cuomo. We didn't have hurricanes before climate change.
He did not.
Well, now this is, they did take a part of a quote and put in the middle of a different sentence. So let's read here. Democratic New York Governor Andrew Cuomo blamed climate change for damaging floods in upstate New York and claimed that natural disasters didn't happen before climate change. Quote, Ali, anyone who questions extreme weather and climate change is just delusional at this point, Cuomo told MSNBC anchor Ali Velshi. Quote, we have seen in the state of New York, and we have seen it is something we never had before, unquote. Quote, we didn't have hurricanes or superstorms or tornadoes, Cuomo added. Now, does he mean in New York State, or is he talking about globally? Because if he's talking about New York State, a hurricane in New York itself would be not exactly a regular occurrence.
Well, hurricanes hitting the United States are not that much of a regular occurrence if you pick any one area. I mean, sure, you have much closer chance of it in the Gulf states, but hurricanes have always bounced up the fucking coast before they dissipate.
Sure. Okay, you see, now in this instance, I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt that in that reference there, he's talking about New York, because he was talking about New York in the previous. We have seen in the state of New York.
Yeah, maybe if we're being charitable.
Right. Well, and I'm willing to be charitable because, I don't like it when people take me out of context, so I don't want to take him out of context. Now, I don't know the history of extreme weather in New York State to say whether or not he's at all correct or there's been a more increased occurrence of such things in the last 30 years or whatever.
I just typing in New York hurricanes. A hurricane made landfall in 2011. You have where are the other ones? They go back all the way through the 1800s. Between 1287 and 1438, they're not sure exactly when, a major hurricane struck that area. In 1635, one hit. In 1667, 1693. I'm fairly certain we didn't have global warming back then.
Well, every 30 years something happens, but I mean, what's been the frequency in like the last 30 years?
Last 30 years.
Yeah, I mean, just arbitrary. I'm just pulling out a number out of my ass of like, if we're going to talk
again,
about...
you get there's a couple of things here. We have much better tracking technology.
That's true.
And most of the stuff that has hit them is tropical storms or depressions after the hurricanes, as I said, dissipate as they come up the coast.
Okay.
So he's a moron is what he is. He's trying to make his little brother Fredo look good.
Oh, now. He wasn't even talking to Fred. Is he allowed to be interviewed by his own brother, I wonder?
I don't know.
All right. I bet even MSNBC wouldn't probably, or sorry, CNN, because he's over on CNN. Let's see.
We look right after Katrina, Al Gore came out and said hurricanes are going to increase because of global warming, and we actually had one of the quietest times in recorded history of hurricanes making landfall in the U.S. for I think it was almost a decade. And at the time, when Gore said it, Meteorologists told him and anybody that would listen, do not make that connection. Hurricanes have been happening forever. We cannot point and prove that they are in any way impacted by this because so much goes into them.
All right. This one comes from Shrouded Angel. Woman plays brilliant prank on trick-or-treaters involving Brussels sprouts.
Go to hell.
Okay, this is the neighbor you hate. I'm just saying.
If she got egged, I'm happy.
A woman played a brilliant prank on trick-or-treaters on Halloween, and it involved Brussels sprouts. Billy Ann McCarthy from Eltham in southeast London made a little plan for the kids who came by her shop hoping for some sweets. She covered raw Brussels sprouts in chocolate and mixed them in with other sweets. Responses on social media were mixed, with some seeing the funny side, but others far from impressed. Billy Ann posted on community Facebook group Eltham SE9, quote, "Nice little trick for the trick-or-treaters later on. I'm also a little evil and have no regrets," along with pictures of the chocolate-covered sprouts. While many thought this was a hilarious prank, some commenters didn't appreciate the joke, leading to a later edit which read, quote, "For those who are so offended by this, 1, it was done at my work for the kids that come in the shop. 2, they were mixed in with proper sweets and every kid that picked a sprout also got an actual sweet. 3, parents were told what it was. 4, the parents were in stitches watching the kids eat them. 5, every kid that got one also thought it was funny."
I'm sure that happened. I hope you get toilet aids.
Thank you, Sir Wolfgang. I hope she steps on a Lego.
I hope she gets the toilet herp and that she drips for the rest of her life. That's mean.
I mean, short of like some kid having an accidental like allergic reaction or something to not knowing what they were putting there. It's harmless. I don't really give a shit. I think I don't know what the purpose of it was. Like, I'm gonna trick you. It's like,
if you want to do that to adults at a Halloween party for work or something, I have no problem with that. Mm-hmm. Doing it to kids, fuck you.
Let's see this one.
That might also be part of I think Brussels sprouts are the devil's testicles. So
yeah, I mean, of all the things that you could cover in chocolate as a trick, I guess Brussels sprouts are as good as lima beans or something. But yuck. Let's see. This one comes from Fairly Rebecca. There we go. Whistleblower linked to Biden should be subpoenaed, says Senator Rand Paul. Senator Rand Paul wants Congress to subpoena the whistleblower who was reported to be linked to former Vice President Joe Biden. Now, wasn't the link like they served purportedly as like some kind of security agent or Secret Service or something?
No, he's a CIA analyst and he worked with Biden directly for a while.
Right. Linking to the recent report, which allegedly revealed the whistleblower's identity, Paul argued the person should be brought before the House and questioned. Quote, "It is being reported that the whistleblower was Joe Biden's point man on Ukraine," Paul wrote in a statement on Twitter this week. "It is imperative the whistleblower is subpoenaed and asked under oath about Hunter Biden and corruption." While go ahead.
I think the more important question is for him to be asked about Adam Schiff.
Yes. What role did Adam Schiff play in soliciting your whistleblower report?
And also, how did you come by this information?
That too. Well, it was like, wasn't it the third hand? Like they heard it from a friend. Heard it from a friend who.
Yeah, they've also tried to he had some firsthand knowledge. Okay, which was it? Because we are talking about a classified phone call, the transcripts of which were locked up. How did you even know about this? And it's okay that it's known about, but that is a severe problem within our intelligence community.
Then it goes through a little recitation of events thereafter. I don't think it's necessarily untoward, even if you have to do it behind closed doors. Yep. I mean, I would understand that, even if you had to do it in a private session or something with congressmen or whatever, if that's, whistleblower and all that. But I don't disagree that the person should be made to testify, since the entirety of this thing started with their report. So, yeah. Let's see. What else do we have? I got to go back here. Nope. Oh, dang it. And then Twitter just crashed on me because that's what it does lately. I don't understand this. Like at work when I'm on my laptop, if like Twitter will crash when it's trying to load a simple little like animated GIF or something. I don't understand. It's like can't handle a GIF. Let's see. We did the Brussels sprouts. We did Rand Paul. Let's see. And the people sent us the Beto O'Rourke dropped out. Thank you, Johnny Bonsacco. Thank you, Mashisu. Okay, so this one comes from Seftus Wolf. I think we talked about this on the AA meeting I was on today, or at least I heard them talking about it because such as it is. 1 second here. Let me get all these different tabs and things. Golly gee whiz. All right, share screen, do that, do this. There we go. Millennial reality star. Well, that already tells me they have credibility. World War II history shouldn't be taught to young children so their mental health can be preserved. Who teaches World War II history to young? I mean, how young are we
Define young.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about like 5-year-olds, yeah, talking about the atrocities of war, and I think probably not quite, kindergarten fodder. But let's see. Rather than holding on to the past, 22-year-old Freddie Bentley, who I have no idea who that is, wants UK students to learn about climate change, Brexit, and how to save for mortgages.
If they're old enough for any of those, they're old enough for World War II.
A 22-year-old United Kingdom reality TV star. Is that a qualification of anything? It really
no.
Said on the popular Good Morning Britain show, what is he a reality star of? That World War II history shouldn't be taught to young children so as to preserve their mental health. And Freddie Bentley, a contestant on The Circle. What is The Circle? Is it a circle jerk competition show?
Well, the thing that's confusing me is they shouldn't learn about this thing to preserve their mental health, but they should be told that they're going to die in less than 10 years if they don't.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Let me tell you about the horrors of the EU. Let me tell you about how everybody's going to melt to death in the next decade, and also mortgages.
Yeah, those are like the 3 scariest things that are out here right now.
I mean, I'm not going to argue that home economics and managing your money should be something that is given a bit more emphasis in school these days, all things considered, but that's beside the point. And look at that shirt.
Oh, God. This show.
What is it?
Okay. It's they move people into these houses.
Okay.
And they play a game against each other. They never meet. They all communicate with each other based on a specially designed app.
Okay.
And it's basically Facebook, Twitter the game, or Instagram the game. They have to try to make themselves better than the others, and then they vote on, give each other a rating. The lowest rating drops off.
And this
oh my God,
is famous for.
Yeah.
I mean, and I use famous in air quotes if you didn't hear me say that. Okay.
They win a 50,000 pound cash prize if they win.
Ooh, 50,000 pounds. You could spend that on a mortgage.
Went up to 70,000 in Series 2.
Ooh, wow.
Oh my God, that's so fucked up.
This one. I saw this. Was this earlier? I think it was. Today was a long day. This one comes from Adonis Bartolotti. Well, we'll see if the New York Times allows me to actually read this, because God knows they never want me to otherwise. I guess we'll find out in a second here. Go to here, click on this, click on that. Shuri Castle, historic tourist draw in Japan, is destroyed by fire.
Oh, I did see that.
Yeah, the World Heritage Site, a symbol of the southern island of Okinawa, was once the seat of a kingdom that spanned 450 years. A devastating fire on Thursday destroyed most of Shuri Castle, a top tourist destination on the Japanese island of Okinawa and a World Heritage Site that was once the seat of a kingdom that spanned 450 years. No one was injured in the blaze, thankfully, which was first reported at 2:40 a.m. and was extinguished by 11 a.m., according to local officials and news reports. But the fire burned 7 buildings to the ground, including the austere religious scholar? No, austere main hall, according to NHK, the national broadcaster. Television images showed flames engulfing the skeleton of the main hall, a symbol of Okinawa that sat on a hill overlooking the city of Naha. Officials have not yet determined the cause of the fire. The wooden castle, first built more than 500 years ago, served as the palace of the Ryukyu Kingdom, I'm probably screwing that up too, which ruled from 1429 to 1879, when the Ryukyu Islands were annexed by Japan. It has been destroyed several times in its history, most recently in 1945 during the Battle of Okinawa in World War II. We can't talk about this. Young children may be listening. Their mental health can't take it. We can't talk about this.
I just looked it up because I wasn't sure. I thought I knew what it was. And yeah, oh my God, I can't believe that place burned down. Wow.
Yeah, that's a real. I mean, when I saw those pictures, my first thought was thinking of Notre Dame Cathedral. You just think of this like sort of iconic structure of a particular culture, and it's now just completely engulfed. Like, fuck.
Guys, rebuild it with cement this time.
Yeah, maybe fire retardant wood or something, or treated wood. Maybe, I don't know. Modernize it a little bit, just for. Oh well. Let's see. We'll do a couple more here to make up for bleeding into other time. What's this? Okay. Oh, this one comes from Peter Stewart. And it's another Halloween candy story, because all the Halloween candy stories come up the day after Halloween, of course, when all the exciting events occur with Halloween candy. Get that, click this, click that, click that. Let's see. I'm assuming that's Nova Scotia. Nova Scotia RCMP investigating after cannabis edibles found in Halloween candy.
Oh God.
Yeah, that's not cool.
No, it's not.
The Royal Canadian Mounted Police is urging parents to check their children's Halloween candy after one parent in Nova Scotia's Annapolis Valley reported finding cannabis edibles among their child's treats. The incident was reported to police in Coldbrook around 9:30 p.m. on Thursday. The parent told police their group was trick-or-treating in the areas of Cambridge, Kentville, and Coldbrook. So a couple of those sound like towns from like a fantasy novel or something. They aren't certain which home from the cannabis edibles. Wait, they aren't certain from what? They aren't certain which home the cannabis edibles came from. Okay. Police say there were 8 children in the group, and all of their candy was checked by an adult, but only one child received the cannabis edibles. The package had a Halloween-themed label on the front and contained several jujube candies. A sticker on the back indicated the THC content of the candies, which police say alerted the parent. Well, if you needed a red flag, there you go.
Can you scroll back up?
Yep.
Oh, somebody fucked up. Which still check your candy anyway, but oh man, that could have been horrible.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they were accidentally mixed in a package of something that they meant for other guests.
Probably.
And, I didn't mean to get it in there, but all the same, yeah, not a good move.
Yeah, if only one of the kids got it, that's probably likely what happened.
Yeah, maybe so.
There's somebody out there going, where the fuck are my edibles?
Right.
We'll do one more here just for the heck of it. This one, thank you, Pincalo. Every year there is one of these, and it's 99% fake.
Well, yeah, it could be the guy who checked him was like, hey, let's get some attention, and we'll throw this in.
Yeah, that's true, too.
But I'm just, in all seriousness, whether it was accidental or fake, I'm just glad no kids got a hold of that, because eating a bunch of those at once, no.
All right, so this one from Dragon Mage. And all right. Is facial recognition software transphobic? Controversial technology has a gender problem.
Oh God.
Stop it.
So here's our example. Gender male, age 20, glasses, no glasses, emotion, happiness. That's the computer's estimate. But the actual age 13 to 16. Oh, wait, no, that's something else, maybe. Female. Okay. Facial recognition software cannot accurately assess the gender of trans people, a study has claimed.
Who cares?
Or the facial recognition software is accurately assessing the gender of trans people.
And that's an issue because trans people.
Is it recognizing their face? Because isn't that what it's made for?
Yeah, I mean, if the structure of your face, short of, I mean, I guess this is just an argument for those that can pass without question and those that can't, I guess, which is, some people luck out. You get your Blair Whites, and then you get, the Jessica Yanivs.
It's almost like there might be a biological factor to how we look.
The controversial tech is now so accurate that it can figure out the gender of men or women with little more than a brief glance. But if that face belongs to a trans person, the system gets it wrong. No, they're not getting it wrong. That's the thing, is that they're getting it accurately correct.
Oh my God, that line there.
The systems get it wrong more than a third of the time, new research suggested. Study lead author Morgan Klaus Schurman, a PhD student at the University of Colorado Boulder, in the U.S. said, quote, "We found that facial analysis services perform consistently worse on transgender individuals and were universally unable to classify non-binary genders."
Because they don't exist.
Here's the fucking thing about that. Non-binary genders, it does say I'm the opposite, and you're like, your shit doesn't work because it didn't guess what's in my head. Like, what the fuck? Oh my God.
While there are many different types of people out there, these systems have an extremely limited view of what gender looks like.
Because they can't see what's in your brain.
And so do most human beings. I hate to tell you this.
I want to see this 1/3 of people that got wrong.
Yeah.
Facial recognition tech is becoming increasingly prevalent and embedded in everything from smartphone dating apps to law enforcement CCTV systems. Previous research suggests that the technology is most accurate. Okay, you guys, you really are getting it backwards. Okay, the software is reporting accurately. It's not reporting what you want it to report, and that's a completely different situation.
Yeah, it's just like, look, I have decided that my dog is a cat, but when this scanner scans my dog, it says it's a dog, but I said it's a cat. Your machine is broken because my dog is clearly a cat. It's like, no, the machine's not broken. Your dog is a dog. It doesn't matter if you call it a cat. It's still a fucking dog. That's what the machine acknowledges. Like, regardless, even if we universally accept it socially that your dog is now a cat, the machine it's reporting accurately.
So the only solution to this I can see is to take your bathroom scale and adjust it so that it will ignore the first 100 pounds that steps on it, so that every time you step on it, you can see that you're not 100 pounds more than you are. I mean, that's the only solution to this. You have to dumb down the sensitivity of the software to remove the utility of the software. Not that I'm all that big of a fan of facial recognition software in the first place. I think that's some creepy shit when it comes down to spying on people and, following people and everything else. I mean, there's masks they sell in Japan or whatever that have all the triangles and stuff on them so that it'll screw up the facial recognition stuff, which honestly, I don't blame some people for, especially in the UK or something with all the cameras all over the place. But yeah. Okay. Well, guys, thank you so much for all the stories. Appreciate it. We're going to move on to a truncated YouTube and fucketry time. I'll go first with the YouTube. I recorded audio today for my next video. I'm going to try to assemble it tomorrow and have it out tomorrow or at the latest Sunday, depending on how complicated I make it. Other than that, I was also on the AA meeting with Sinatra, Ghastly, and Drunkle today. Although, I love those guys. They're great. I can't get a word in edgewise, and I know it's a completely different kind of show. I just come from a different pedigree. I don't know. It was very I wasn't sure when to say anything during the course of that show because it has. I am a format junkie. I don't know what to tell you, or at least a you take a moment to take a breath and let other people talk. I'm just saying, but that's their show. They can do what they want. It's fine. I know. I'm a jerk. Okay. Anyway, Satsu, what have you been up to?
Didn't get up to much today. I wanted to do some 7 Days to Die stuff, but I couldn't. Squeegis was keeping me busy, and Squishy got off a little bit earlier today. So once again, like I said, I took that opportunity to sleep for a little bit, and Squishy allowed me to sleep until 8:30. So didn't get anything done YouTube wise, but we will be streaming tonight, and I might stay up a little bit afterwards after the Code Vein stream to work on the 7 days stuff because there is content that I want to get out for that. Otherwise, just kind of chilling out.
Okay, Monkey, how about yourself?
I did a Monkey in the Morning last night. Adindro and Jack joined me. Had a lot of fun. I actually ended up going like 5 hours. So check it out if you guys get time on your hands.
Okay. As far as fucketry goes, I think I covered. Hold on a second. I'm trying to multitask, but apparently I am just not good at that today. I had to spend a lot of time staring at a single data file and editing stuff for hours today, and so my brain's a little tired. Let's see. As far as like fucketry, we talked about Elizabeth Warren. So Harry Enton, my other favorite friend at CNN, political analyst, predictor of political waves and such. He said, "This period, Dem period, field period, is period, a period, mess period." What I mean by that is you got a bunch of candidates polling very low, historically speaking, and close to the leader in Iowa and New Hampshire. It makes it extremely unpredictable with 3 months to go. And I said, so 3 months ago it was predictable, but now it is a mess and uncertain. So 3 months ago you didn't predict this to happen, so your predictions are useless.
Right.
I mean, you didn't see this comment. You're like, oh, Beto's. Oh my, Beto. You guys put Beto at such the top of the list 6 months ago. You guys were just going nuts, just jerking yourselves off over Beto. It just and what do you know? Something happened that you didn't predict because it's pointless. It's not worth predicting stuff until at least you get into the caucuses. Honestly, once Iowa happens, then you'll kind of see where the winds are blowing. After New Hampshire, you're pretty much locked up. That's just the way it is. Everything else prior to this, it's fantasy football. And there's a place for fantasy football. And don't get me wrong, I like trying to game out things. We did it tonight. Who's going to drop out next, etc. But I wouldn't accept money from someone to make a career out of that because it's bullshit.
I'll accept money to do that.
Yeah.
I think I do want to challenge that just briefly. I do think like right now you can make some predictions.
Okay.
I think you could have predicted and did that Beto wasn't going to win this
right
back, but I didn't think he was ever going to get in. That's where I got it wrong. Because I thought, fuck, everybody knows this guy has no chance in fuck, right? Especially with the big names we knew were running. Like,
yeah, come
on, man, really? But anyway, sorry.
Let's see. NPR put this one out. Before President Trump, there was California's Proposition 187. It was a ballot initiative to deny undocumented families access to social services, public schools, or non-emergency health care. And I said, wait, there was a time before Trump? What devilry is this?
Right.
And then I put out there today, I tried a new hashtag. I tried to create a new hashtag. Hashtag, my first act as president will be to initiate the process of constructing a moon base. My second act will be to increase all public school recess time by 5 minutes. And I got a lot of reactions to that recess time one. They're like, "Oh my God, it should be 15 minutes." Or why aren't you making like all the water fountains put out soda pop? Kind of stuff, yeah. And then lastly, there was someone named Malcolm Nance, who's a blue check mark, U.S. intelligence, 36 plus years, expert terrorist strategist, etc. Okay. And he's on MSNBC and NBC apparently. But anyway, he said, hashtag unresign Katie Hill. It's an outrage and uncalled for. Stand firm. And I say, it was uncalled for. In the sense that there is no official process by which to force a resignation, you're correct. And the ethics probe would have likely only resulted in a slap on the wrist. She could have stuck it out, but she chose to quit. Thank you, Manic. Hashtag Moonbase. Hashtag Moonbase.
My response to his tweet was, yeah, unresign. Those staffers aren't going to fuck themselves.
Well, yeah. Depending on the implements they had. All right. Well, anyway, that's all of my fucketry. Satsu, what do you got?
Well, my response to that tweet that you were just talking about was, here we have another example of a grown-ass woman who made decisions to do inappropriate things and then made a choice to resign because she got caught. But because she's a woman, people don't think she's smart enough to be responsible for said actions. And then I followed up with, it doesn't matter what your opinion is on what she did. The bottom line is she made a choice to do those things. And when confronted, she made a choice to resign. Stop treating women like they have no agency and pretending like she was forced into this. Because if you guys look at a good majority of the comments in there, most of the comments are just like, I can't believe they forced her to do this. How could they do that to her? Why would you make her resign? I'm like, no, nobody made her do anything. Like, she wasn't forced into anything. This was all her decision. She latched on to the victim narrative. That was all her. Like, I don't understand how this grown-ass woman did these things that, like I said, it kind of doesn't matter whether or not you feel they're appropriate or not, in the grand scheme of things, because she was either going to resign or not based on how she felt about it. But she made that decision herself, and then they keep comparing her to all these other people. Such and such stayed in. Like, yeah, they chose to stay in their position. She chose not to.
They had balls.
Yeah. Like, why are y'all making it seem like somebody literally forced her out? And one of the comments was like, oh, well, she saw what was coming. It was just going to be more and more stuff coming out for her, and they need to stop focusing on her and lock up the person who put out those photos. And I'm like, look, man, I don't know what the fuck y'all been paying attention to or whatever, but from the very beginning, this whole situation, everything that's happened to her up until this point so far has been her own doing. So I don't understand why we're treating her like, she had no part in this. Like, she was a bystander in all these events, and these things just happened to her. Like, I don't understand that. It's frustrating as fuck. But here we are talking about this stupid shit. Let me see, what else was there? Is that the only thing I talked about today? I think that might have been the only thing I've seen today.
Oh my god.
Hold on. Oh, well, there was some people jumping on Kanye over on Facebook for recent comments he made about Democrats manipulating black voters and kind of trying to tell them who they should and shouldn't vote for based on the color of their skin or whatever. And some people are calling bullshit. They're saying that that's not true. That doesn't happen. Yet, in the conversation that I was having, some of those same people were sharing the exact same sentiments that if you're black and not voting for somebody black, then, what did they say? Real talk, I guess. You're working against your own self. And I'm just like, so it's not true. That's not a thing that's happening. But you were literally pushing those sentiments right now to prove to me that it isn't true. Okay. All right. Just want to make sure I understood this properly. People are fucking stupid. They're just like, I'm not a sheep. I just do everything that other people tell me to do. It's like, oh, okay. Well, thanks for clearing that up. But yeah, that's all my fucking truth.
All right, Monkey.
Well, I have two that I want to discuss. Most of my stuff today was on Beto, and because I enjoyed that, I really did. Because who didn't see this coming? Chris Cillizza didn't see this
Yeah,
coming.
exactly.
Chris
At least
tweeted out.
this early, yeah.
He tweeted out, Beto entered the race with so much promise and potential, he leaves it as an afterthought. Remarkable.
He had no promise or potential. He
Nope.
didn't even have a platform, for fuck's sake, Chris.
He had just lost to Ted Cruz
Exactly.
with the entire media at his beck and call. Hollywood just falling all over themselves to promote this asshole, and he lost. And then you fuckers told him to get into the presidential race. And at this time, we already knew Warren and Bernie were going to run. We had a good idea Biden was. And you're like, Beto, really? He had been a representative, and that was it. And he didn't even do it very long. So shut up. But I do see a ton of people now like, go be in the Senate. You just need a little bit more experience. No, he just needs to shut the fuck up and go away. He needs to go back and eat some more dirt and live on his wife's inheritance. He'll be fine, guys.
I think Cillizza's having a crisis because he's just like, but his dick was in my mouth the whole time.
I know.
Like, how could this be?
I'm going to be really, the most entertaining part of this entire campaign, this entire election is going to be when it winnows down to Trump and whoever, and trying to see Chris Cillizza make a choice, make a call, because after what happened last time, he knows he probably can't take another hit like he did last time and saying it was like, oh, it was going to be a landslide. I can't wait to see what kind of mental gymnastics he and Harry Enton are going to go through in the next 6 months trying to gauge the events of things.
Jack Gunsky says, Ted Cruz is great. Just saying, I really don't understand the hate for Ted. I don't hate Ted. I agree with Ted on a lot of policy issues. I disagree with him when he goes fundamentalist, which he does do. Which brings me to my next one. There's been a debate brewing. Nick Fuentes has
what is this? I don't even know.
He's getting into a pissing match with Charlie Kirk. So you have two morons arguing with each other. But his thing that he's pushing, and I don't know if he started it or if he just latched onto it because that's kind of what he does. They're pushing this idea that well, let me read the tweet that somebody tweeted out. Conservatives are making a huge mistake putting LGBTQ activists front and center on college campuses. Pop culture and schools are indoctrinating millennials and Zoomers with radical LGBT and socialist ideas. Young people are struggling with morality. This is the last thing they need. So the argument is that you can't be gay and conservative. This guy, he actually goes on to list that you can't be gay and conservative. Well, actually, you can. You really can. And that's kind of the reason they're doing this is they're showing people, look, you can be gay and conservative. Like you can be black and conservative and female and conservative. What Nick is doing is saying, no. We are the stereotype they say we are. And Nick, I have no doubt you're the stereotype people think. But most people aren't. They actually they thought that this was like the height of their humor. Charlie Kirk was taking questions on a panel, and some of Nick's followers got up there and asked, "How is anal sex a conservative value?" Oh, that's so funny.
Real quick, thank you, Point Curation. I'm tired of globalist conservatives who have their own flavor of political correctness. Kirk appears to be one of these. Also say real quick, Point Curation, I heard your super chat over on Mr. Mediker's stream from yesterday with the finders. That was kind of cool. I was like, at Point Curation, I was like, hey, I know that guy.
I'm not sure what that means, his statement there. I don't see a problem with having black conservatives and gay conservatives and conservatives of all stripes. I mean, to me, conservatism is about the way we run our country, mostly financially. I don't give a fuck what you do in your real life. Now, we've talked many times, like when you start pushing this shit on kids, like we had the drag queen the other day showing his dick to kids in a library. I don't think those people should be reading to kids in the first place. But there's a difference between that and telling college kids that you can be conservative and gay.
Mm-hmm.
Those are different things. And I don't expect Fuentes' argument or audience to understand nuance like that. But yeah, it's an interesting fight that's coming up. And it's just funny to me. Like, no, you can't be a gay conservative. Go away. Yeah, that's a good winning fight, dumbasses.
Let's see. Point Creation says, Ranting Monkey, an example of that is conflating criticism of Israel with anti-Semitism.
That's fair. But when I call Nick Fuentes an anti-Semite, it's because of the way he talks about Jews, not Israelis. He likes to say he's joking, and that's fine. That's fine. Maybe those are all just edgy jokes that somebody like me who's too up my own ass and doesn't get humor at all just doesn't get.
Probably.
Probably what it is. I just have no sense of humor.
That describes you pretty well, actually. Yeah.
I know.
Okay.
I didn't want to be the one to say it.
I know. I need to lighten up a lot.
Yeah, you do. Jesus.
Anyway, no. It's an interesting fight that they're having, and as I said, it's two morons arguing with each other. So we'll see how it goes on the. I just don't ever see that playing in the national conversation. Can you imagine a Republican president getting up there and go, look, we cannot have gay conservatives.
Right.
That would be the end of their career. We need to be principled. You don't need to tell other adults what they can and can't do. How about that, fucktard?
You know, the fact that it would be the end of their career, I appreciate.
Me too.
I mean, I always have to stop and think just for a second. Like 20 years ago, we wouldn't be having these conversations.
No,
it's like it wouldn't be coming up. It'd be like, oh yeah, whatever, and that makes sense or something. And then it just, I don't think people appreciate sometimes. Nothing's perfect, never will be. But holy cow, are things a heck of a lot better now than they were just a couple of decades ago when it comes to certain things.
Here's something I want to point out about this, because they're all pulling this. It's our biblical thing. This is what they're pulling it from. We have to hold on to our Christian values is what they're falling back on.
Mm-hmm.
And so we can't have gays. Why aren't you guys arguing against oral sex?
Right.
But according to the Bible, that is wrong. How come you guys aren't arguing to outlaw eating pigs?
You know, how many stones should be used to kill your daughters if they have sex before marriage?
You fuckers are picking and choosing which ones of those laws you like and deciding, hey, this is where we have to make our stand. What about eating pig? You're not supposed to partake of the swine. It's in the same list of rules there where it tells you that man laying with man is an abomination.
Didn't it say something about not sleeping with your wife while she's menstruating or something? Or
probably
while she's menstruating.
Yeah.
It's just amazing that, I mean, no. This is the line. I'm gonna eat myself a BLT while bitching about gays.
Yeah, cherry picking religious dogmas. It never happens before. Anyway, anything else, Monkey?
No, I think I'm done.
All right. Yeah, I think you're done to stick a fork in you. Well, guys, that moves us on to your time. If you have questions, comments, concerns, conspiracy theories, complaints, if you have constructive criticisms for Monkey and his sort of humor, please put them in the chat now. If you have questions for us directly, please put plenty of question marks not question marks. I screwed up. Chat marks after those. If you have statements for us to consider, please put plenty of statement marks after those. If you don't know what I'm talking about, well, I just gave away half the equation, so you can figure it out for yourself. Remember, guys, over on 2 Cents Plus after the show, you can watch Monkey and Satsu go Code Vein. And already you're singing the song in your head, and I don't have to do it. Daniel Fulman, LeBron James dressed as Edward Scissorhands for Halloween as a thin, pale white man. Did he steal my culture? No, he stole Tim Burton's culture, which is its own dimension, if you've watched any Tim Burton stuff.
If he stole your culture, you need to cut your nails, man.
Yeah, and maybe cut down on the heavy metal.
Oh, God, what is this Kathy Griffin fucking Amber Adley back and forth?
What?
They are firing back at each other on Twitter like crazy.
Tazzy Bloke, Kamala's campaign has failed, so should she just take it on the chin and move on? She's done it before.
Oh.
Oh.
No, what she's trying to do here is it wouldn't necessarily be a bad move in all years. Concentrating on one spot, because you do get that big media push when you win, or if you place higher than they thought. Those can also be the big stories that come out, and that can help propel you. I mean, you miss, okay, so she misses New Hampshire. Maybe that helps push her up in South Carolina, but she's pulling from everywhere else.
Yeah.
And with this field, yeah, this is just her death blow. And I get your joke there, but I was also answering the real part of that question.
Yeah, and
like
betting everything on Iowa. It's like, well, if she makes it to Iowa, if she doesn't drop out before then, the way things are headed already in the next month or two, and if she doesn't make it, like Monkey said, if she doesn't make it in second or something, she's done. So. Let's see. RJ Bands with Scribe, have you seen a running nose? Mine ran off. No. But if you see one, it may be Betos trying to get away from the cocaine. Check your logic. Was Dave Rubin's comment about the firefighters in California racist? I don't even know what Dave Rubin said about the firefighters in California. So I couldn't say.
Let me check.
Let's see. Angry Illinoisan. If you're looking for a seed when you play 7 Days to Die, try Ranting Monkey is awesome.
Huh. Cool.
All right. Let's see. Mr. Scott J87. Do you think they are waiting to impeach Trump until in case he gets reelected so they don't have to try to impeach him twice? Oh, they're not going to wait that long. No. Well, the notion would be that they impeach him ahead of the. So here's the problem: if they spend too much time on impeachment, rolling over into the primaries or the caucuses in Iowa and New Hampshire, etc., then the conversation and the focus on the Democratic agenda and or the candidate they need to rally around gets exceedingly diminished in the press, because we're talking about impeachment. We're talking about all the personalities involved in the impeachment, which are a bunch of other senators and not necessarily ones running for president. That detracts from the Democratic message, detracts from the Democrats' possibility of not only taking the presidency, but also conceivably retaining the House in the next cycle. So if they're going to do impeachment, if they're going to do the process, they need to do it before the caucuses, which means at the worst, before the end of January. Although preferably long before the end of January, like by Christmas, like they've been talking about. So that is kind of the unofficial time limit. If they don't get this thing all wrapped up, however it's going to play by December 31st, they are just being shot in the foot in the press and otherwise, and the attention span every hour and every day thereafter. So that's how I see it. And I'm not getting paid for this, so I'm not Chris Elizabeth.
What was the question?
Specifically, let me find it again. And my chat jumped. And do you think they are waiting to impeach Trump until in case he gets reelected, so they don't have to try to impeach him twice?
No, they wouldn't do that just because they can't. I mean, they're not. If he did get reelected, there's a good chance they'd lose the House, and in which case the impeachment hearing just gets shut down. It's like, fuck it, we don't care anymore.
Right. Yeah.
I did find the Dave Rubin thing too.
Oh, what's the Dave Rubin thing?
Well, I don't see a tweet from him, but this is a tweet about him. Dave Rubin is on Tucker arguing that California can't control wildfires because it's too woke. They're worried about having, quote, enough black firemen and, quote, what contractors brought in, what gender or sexuality or any of those things he or she was. No, it's not racist.
No.
That's not racist. I don't even know if he's right, but even that statement, it's like.
Well, that's not their problem with wildfires. Their problem with wildfires is they're not taking care of forests like you're supposed to because of woke, stupid shit. Like, we can't cut down any trees. Sometimes you need to.
Yeah, but, and they're letting the power companies run lines through dry forest areas, or obstructed forest areas where the lines are and stuff. There's a whole bunch of layers. I mean, it's a giant system of things that failed in and around California the last several years that have made those fires worse than they should have been.
There's a great way to run power lines. You run them through these places where you clear cut the trees. They're called fire lines.
Or you put giant towers to keep them above the tree line. Let's see. Team Cap, did you hear about the Australian anti-vax mother who gave out chicken pox tainted lollipops for Halloween? What?
No.
I hadn't heard that one. That lady should be put in jail if that were true. That's like passing out biological warfare.
Yeah, that's
yeah. If you have a story, a reputable sourced story on that one, I'd be curious for that one. I'm sure Monkey would love to read about it tomorrow on Monkey in the Morning.
Hey, if you guys get a chance, I'm putting a link in the chat. Check out this kid's costume. It's fucking awesome.
Let's see. My chat jumped, guys. So if I missed your question, just repost it. Will it forward? Scribe Light, will you let viewers know to keep an eye on Lords of the Night Discord? I will be streaming a painting project from Laser Stuff on DLive, hopefully this weekend. Well, there you go, guys. Keep an eye on the Lords of the Night Discord, which I don't have a link for in front of me. I'm sure someone in the chat, maybe Stargazer or someone else, will put it in there for us. Let's see. Tyler Lalonde, Scribe Light, what gave you the idea for tonight's theme? Well, since OBS, I'm not making. Wait, let me back up a little bit. The way StreamYards works, I can't really do like the animated themes and such like I was doing on OBS in the same way with like the text crawls and everything. So I'm taking the themes that I've already created for OBS and then using those as the thumbnail. And now the one I screwed up on was the other night. I didn't already have a little mock-up of a sort of Mad Max scene with the three of us and our avatars on it, and I called it "Witness Me." So I ran out of time, so I picked one out from the library. But then the background was sort of, rusty rebar and desert and everything. So I had the cyberpunk one I haven't used since I first used it back in the first broadcast. So I was like, oh, I'll do that. And I tried to find a font. I didn't know that the Cyberpunk 2077 font was like so super custom that nobody's put out an actual like font layout for it yet. So I found something close to it, sort of in theme, and use that. So there's more information than you asked for, but there you go. Sean Uli, Scribe, I've developed a script of my premiere video. Would you read it and critique it? No. You need to do it. You need to read it and edit it and do it. It should be your words and your ideas and however you do it, and go as you learn. I would not want to inject anything I'd have to say in there or set you on a path that might not be of your own volition.
Yeah,
man. It sounds harsh, but that's different. If you're writing a story or a novel and you wanted some input on whether this character, that kind of thing, that might be a little bit different. But when it comes to your commentary on whatever subject it is, it needs to come from you.
Yeah, it's got to be authentic.
That'd be my thing. So the answer is no. I will not critique it. I will let you know what I thought about it after you've published your video. There you go. Again, not to be mean, just anyway. Motto Winter, oh Lords, would y'all try hillbilly stir fry? Soy sauce is replaced by moonshine.
I'm good, thanks.
Yeah, I'm okay.
I made a stir fry kind of thing for a while. I haven't made it in a while. Maybe I can do it again. So I call it my smoked oyster special. I get smoked oysters and I put it in there with mixed vegetables and some soy sauce, and serve it with rice. And it's good because the actual oil and juices from the smoked oyster stuff mixed in with the soy. Oh, it tastes so good.
That sounds good.
I might be a little rare in my palate for that one. A lot of people
send me the recipe. I'll make it on the channel.
I don't even know if I have a recipe. I just kind of I'll see if I can figure out what I did and
well, yeah, just send me the baseline and I'll try to replicate it. And be like,
okay.
This is the Scribe special.
Let's see. Tazzy Bloke, if Halloween costumes are appropriating something you're not, why are the left fine with drag queens reading to kids? Did I What?
The assumption there is people in drag are appropriating women's culture.
I don't know. I mean, the thing that happened this week with the person accidentally flashing the kids, that's bullshit. That whole thing was bullshit. The drag reading sessions at libraries and things, I don't think it's appropriate. I'm not trying to be some kind of Puritan, religious right person, but it just seems a little bit, can you wait to let the kids grow up first, kind of thing, before you start exposing them to sexual politics and things like that? I'm just saying. Thank you, Lucius, longtime lurker from Germany, Deutschland. First time I actually watch you live. Love the show and want to show my appreciation. Well, thank you, Lucius.
Thanks for watching.
And my horrible, horrible, bad German Eurotrash accent. Just ask Badger Man, which is just bad German, by the way. But anyway. Elwin, on Halloween, are drag queens appropriating trans culture? Some people would say so, I'm sure, at this stage of the game. Let's see. Shanuli, you were not being mean. You were just giving me the critique I needed. Well, if that's what you want to call it, sure. But no, write your script, sleep on it, revise it, record it, put it out there, and learn as you go, as it were. Let's see. My chat jumped again. Okay, I'm going to scroll up and see if I missed something. Because I'm sure I did. Prospero says, San Diego female firefighter training video callback. Was that about like the Dave Rubin thing? Maybe I missed something. Let's see. Oh, Lord, says Mata Winter. Meowie Christmas. Also, what's the worst Christmas tradition?
Tacos.
The worst Christmas tradition.
Mistletoe. That's why a majority of the fucking planet has herpes.
I don't know. The worst Christmas tradition.
Cranberry sauce. No, that's Thanksgiving. Well, they kind of do it on there. What?
Starting the Christmas season right after Halloween.
Yeah, I've already been seeing the memes for that.
Yeah.
People are like, don't fucking forget Thanksgiving exists.
Or how about when Starbucks switches to their red cups for the season, whatever the thing is. Gorbag goes camping. Scribe Light, why do you hate Sanute? Because his shows don't have any format. That's why. Let's see. Jack Gunsky. Satsu 2 cents. Have you been looking into making jambalaya? I'm so curious to get your opinion.
I have been looking into it. I just have not been able to execute it. Because when it comes to my cooking videos and stuff, I haven't really been able to do a lot in regards to that as of yet. Because, like I said, I'm taking care of the baby while Squishy's at work. And when Squishy gets home, I'm trying to get some rest or some sleep because I most likely didn't beforehand. So I haven't been able to cook like dinner in a while. So I need to figure that
out. Let's see. Prospero says the woman not being able to raise the fire ladder, but it was all for diversity. Oh, yeah, there was that. God, what was it? This is several years ago now, but that story in New York where the lady like basically sued the New York Fire Department because she wasn't graduated because she couldn't meet the physical requirements, and so they lowered the physical requirements so she could be a firefighter.
Yeah.
That kind of shit. Or that video I did not too long ago, that TEDx talk where the lady was saying how the physical requirements to become a police officer should be lowered in order to increase diversity of women.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, I don't know. I think I'd rather have a police officer, regardless of what is between their legs, capable of both doing the job physically and diplomatically, depending on the situation. Because I would hate for them to fail at the latter if the first doesn't work out.
That's what I'm saying, man. I just don't understand how people are advocating for something like this. Like, all right, well, I'll make sure your heart surgeon is unqualified as possible.
Havoc Vladimirovich Stalinov Scribe Snoot Show does have a format. It goes Bant's Stories of the Week, News, and Games. It's just not a strict format. Okay, well, let me back up. Format as in, like, I know I'm going to sound like a complete jerk saying this. I understand. It's a different show. It's I'm used to the pedigree of Lords of the Night, I guess. Wait, I mean, that sounds full of myself, doesn't it? It's just a bit more chaotic. Like Sinatra had to when he was trying to do super chats and stuff, everybody was talking and talking and talking. He had to wait for them or try to talk over them. And there's a bunch of yelling back and forth. And, if I can't hear what people are saying or understand as a viewer when I'm watching shows like that, I get kind of I kind of zone out. And I understand everybody's got their different thing. Some people hate this show because we're boring versus what they do. And that's perfectly fine. It's just, I don't hate Sinatra because of it. It's just a show where I kind of feel out of place. Maybe that'd be a better way to put it. I don't know.
I feel that.
And I feel now I'm getting paranoid. I don't want to disparage the invitation I got or anything. I appreciate being invited on and playing the games and everything. And the Lou Bega thing was it showed me that I got, did you guys know about this Lou Bega game they do? So it's kind of like, it's sort of like charades or the pyramid or whatever, where I get a list of words or names and things, and I have to give them clues as to what I'm talking about without saying the thing, and they have to try to guess it. And so some of them were easy, like the one of them was Kurt Russell, and I just said, "Big Trouble in Little China," "The Thing," "Escape from New York," and oh, okay. But then I got really, I don't know, obtuse with one of them. One of them was water bottle. And so I said, most abundant resource on the planet and the container it can come in. That would piss off Al Gore because it never goes away. I said something like that. And they were completely bewildered. I'm like, what? Like hydrogen? No. And then I got too cute with it. So anyway, that's me being self-conscious, which I never am, of course. Let's see. Gorbe goes, Cammy Scribe just messing with you, man. I enjoy what you do. I appreciate that. And again, I don't hate Sinatra. Well, maybe a little bit. He's got a better voice than I do. Monkey and Sinatra and Undoom, these guys that have these golden throats. They're practically built to do this stuff, this radio show, podcasting, whatever. And then I listen to myself and it's like, yeah, I'm Kermit the Frog's older brother. Or Jordan Peterson's younger cousin or something. I don't know. Model Winter. Oh, loads. Popsicles, ice cream pops, or chicken meatloaf. Do you see a pattern forming here? Because I sure do. I will take ice cream pops.
Yeah, me too. Although I do love popsicles.
Yeah, popsicles. Yeah. What about you, Satsu?
Popsicles are awesome. I got a problem with those, man. Whenever I buy them, I'll eat like 10 a day. Because they're just there.
Let's see. RJ Bands with Scribe Light. What's your favorite costume for Halloween? For me to wear or to see on someone else? Because those are completely different questions. If it's on someone else, I want to say slutty redhead. If it's on me, the thing I've dressed up the most as over time, I guess, has been some variation on a vampire. So I guess some kind of vampire costume. Stargazer says, I like Sinatra, but you have a much nicer voice, in my opinion. No. And I appreciate the compliment so much as I am able to appreciate compliments because I have a hard time with that. But truth be told, Sinatra's got a great voice. He's got a great delivery of stuff. I like watching his videos and listening to him as I'm doing work because he has really good delivery. Thank you, Piccolo. Have a bro hug and stop bitching. I know. Thank you. I know. I'm one of those guys. I don't want to upset anybody except myself, apparently. Angry Illinoisian Scribe, your voice is best for reading news stories. I get so engrossed into the story. I hope that's the right terminology. That is fine.
Wow, he called you gross, dude.
I know. Well, I am male. I am toxic. So, Dom O'Leary, Lords of the Night, what's the worst thing you could think of to shove up your ass?
Anything.
Beto O'Rourke.
A pine cone.
Mr. Scott J87, Sinatra sounds like a teenager. Does he? Well, I guess in the ear of the beholder.
He's only in his mid-20s, so.
He's 26, but that's not a teenager. I mean, he's younger, sure. But I'm sure he can only get better with age. Sean Uli, Satsu, do you like banana popsicles?
Yes.
Okay.
Depends on the brand.
Yes.
Manic, Scribe, I wish you will stop comparing your voice to Kermit. You're making me feel weird for thinking it's sexy. I didn't compare it to Kermit at first. Other people told me that, and I just accepted it. That's all. Besides the fact that I can do, it's not easy being green. And it's not a very difficult stretch for me to go there. Thank you, Cryptic Pinecone O'Rourke. Oh God. Let's see. Drunken Uncle. Was Drunken Uncle in here? I missed
Fuck
that?
out of here.
Is he in here? Maybe I missed that. Okay, well, Drunken Uncle's here. Hey, Drunkle. Lou Bega. A pineapple. Oh, a pineapple. Yeah, don't shove a pineapple up your ass. That's the Drunken Uncle reference. Okay. Mata Winter. Oh, Thrapples. Why are the goats stirring at me? The goats that stare at Mata Winter instead of the men who stare at goats. I don't know. Arms Killer V2. Scribe, I like both yours and Sinatra's voice for different reasons. Well, that sounds ominous. One's for clapping, the other's for fapping.
Yes. I use my left hand when I listen to your voice.
Yes, I'm doing macrame on the one and doing something even worse with the other. Let's see. Gorbeg says, I got told my voice was soothing. I hate my voice. I have cut, like I've talked about this before. Before I started doing YouTube, I rarely ever heard my own voice in a recording. And I've gotten used to it much more now. Because you know how you hear your voice much differently than when you hear it back to you, played back to you. Now, I know this sounds weird, but now when I hear myself talk, it's almost like I have a mental overlay of what I quote unquote actually sound like versus what I hear myself sound like. I don't know if that means anything or helps or hinders anything, but it's kind of a weird effect, I think, of having to listen over and over to my audio as I'm editing and all that kind of thing. Data Wasteland, Scribelight, what's wrong with Kermit's voice? I am telling you, one of the reasons Kermit is loved, that voice, and you are loved too. Oh, guy, I'm not that paranoid about my voice. I mean, I rib myself to keep myself honest more than anything else, I suppose. Thank you, Cody Fry. I mean, at least you don't have Satsu's voice, Scribe. Oh,
I don't.
Hey,
like
what'd you
my
do to
voice
Cody?
at all.
Did you touch his mom in an inappropriate way?
I don't know. Cody has been targeting me for a while, but I think it's hilarious, so I just don't.
Elwin, Scribelight, now I think the chat needs to hear you sing Rainbow Connection. Oh, if I had the lyrics in front of me. Can I get the lyrics in front of, maybe does the internet do that? Do I remember the tune? Why are there so many songs about rainbows? And what's on the other? And I honestly can't remember the tune exactly. I'm gonna fuck it up. But I remember the chorus. Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. I don't have the same gravel that Jim Henson had in his voice, probably from the years of smoking or whatever. I just don't have that sort of low pitch. And that was the problem I had when his son took over originally, because his son, the pitch was just too high. It was too sweet sounding, whereas like actual Kermit sounded much a little bit more rumbly. Elwin says, you made my day. Did I? I'm glad. Let's see. Frosted Glass. If you had to nuke one orphanage, which would it be? What?
An orphanage?
I honestly don't have a catalog of orphanages on my mind.
If I had to nuke one,
Just one.
the one on the one over there.
The one that's been abandoned for 30 years, maybe. I don't nuke an orphanage.
Jesus Christ.
Okay. And lastly, okay, Aslan Monkey, does Eufio still troll you?
I don't know if I've seen Eufio in a while.
I don't even know that I've heard that name before, Eufio. But anyway, with that question, as obscure as it is, it's the top of the hour, guys, and thus the end of the show. Remember, over on 2 Cents Plus, just after this, you can watch Monkey and Satsu run around in Code Vein, anime Dark Souls, for all of those who like that kind of thing, I guess. Remember also, tomorrow night, per usual, will be on Monkey's channel at the regular time. And also, for all the things that I said otherwise, please check out Sinatra Says' channel and the AA show, or the AA meeting, I guess I should say, with Ghastly and Drunkle. Yeah, I guess that's all that. Did I miss anything? I don't think so. But anyway, chat, everyone, thank you for joining us tonight, as you always do. You guys are awesome. I really do appreciate it. Moderators, thank you for keeping an eye on things, even though our audience is the best behaved on the internet. Everybody who donated, thank you so much for your generosity. It's going to go towards horrible things I will put into my body, like pine cones and Beto O'Rourke. No, more like goldfish and Jack Daniels or something. That's more pleasant, I think, than Beto O'Rourke and pine cones. But with that, Monkey, Satsu, thank you for joining me as always.
Pleasure.
Satsu doesn't care. That's fine.
I'm sorry. I got distracted.
No.
Setting up the stream.
But everyone, your lives make us sad, and we will see you tomorrow.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.
And per tradition, I get out my copy of Screw the Roses, Send Me the Thorns, the romance and sexual sorcery of sadomasochism. Satsu's just dropping the ball all over the place today. So today's secret word. And now I know why Cody Fry's so mad at him. Today's secret word is players. Apparently.
Don't you mean players?
Players with a Z.
White boy.
Yeah, boy.